In an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of a quiet Colorado town, Trevor sways to the rhythm of a dimly lit radio with his girlfriend Nina. Nearby, their friend Kyle is tangled in an intimate moment with his latest fling. But the atmosphere takes a chilling turn when Kyle suddenly starts coughing violently, blood splattering onto his hands. Strangely unfazed, his partner leans in for another kiss. Appalled, Trevor and Nina back away, but an eerie presence in the darkness sends a shiver down their spines. Meanwhile, the entire town wakes up to the sight of military forces enforcing a strict 24-hour quarantine. The roads are completely shut down, preventing anyone from entering or leaving. As frustration builds, a traffic jam forms, and residents argue with soldiers demanding answers. One couple is particularly desperate to leave as their son is gravely ill and needs urgent medical attention in the city. Corporal Sarah intervenes, persuading them to take the boy to the local hospital, assuring them that specialists are already on-site treating patients. However, when she privately questions Captain Rhodes about the legitimacy of the specialists, he silences her, ordering her to follow instructions without question. At the local radio station, DJ Paul is monitored by a soldier to ensure he only broadcasts authorized updates to the public. Back at the warehouse, Trevor is startled by something in the darkness, but it turns out to be just Nina. When he suggests leaving, they are interrupted by Kyle, whose nose begins to bleed. He asks his girl to accompany him home, but she, fearing he may be contagious, refuses and walks away. Suddenly she hears terrifying growls. Panicked, she runs, but after tripping and rolling downhill into a body of water, a monstrous creature finds her and drags her away to feast on her. Elsewhere, a fresh group of soldiers arrives at the roadblock. Salazar takes the opportunity to tease Sarah, but she swiftly puts him to work before heading into town with her colleague Crane to check on her childhood home. Upon arrival, she discovers Trevor and Nina getting intimate on the couch and scolds them for ignoring her calls. Neither of them is aware of the lockdown, which infuriates Sarah, especially since their mother Francine requires ongoing care. Rushing upstairs, she checks on Francine, who insists she only has a minor cold. However, Sarah decides to take her to the hospital regardless. Meanwhile, Nina notices numerous missed calls from her father. By nightfall, Sarah and Crane arrive at Kyle's house, only to find the front door ajar. Inside, the walls and floors are covered in blood. As they cautiously explore, two mutilated bodies suddenly fall on Crane. It's Kyle's parents, brutally attacked. Sarah tries to call the police, but the phone lines are down. When she radios in for assistance, Rhodes reveals that all communication has been cut off to prevent the spread of rumors. He promises to send officers to Kyle's home. Sarah picks up Francine, Trevor, and Nina and drives them to the hospital. On the way, Francine starts bleeding from her nose. Upon arrival, they find the hospital overwhelmed with patients suffering similar symptoms. The nurse informs Sarah they must wait their turn. Meanwhile, Nina and Trevor visit her father, who is also hospitalized. Sarah soon notices Salazar and other soldiers guarding the facility, making her realize this is far from a routine operation. Rhodes then introduces Sarah to Dr. Logan from the CDC. Logan inquires whether Kyle's parents had bite wounds. Sarah confirms they did, but she doubts it was an animal attack, as the bodies had been deliberately hidden. In the waiting area, Crane observes that Francine and several other patients appear to be freezing. He notifies Sarah and Logan just as Nina's father undergoes a gruesome transformation. The infection rapidly takes hold, turning him into a ravenous zombie. He suddenly leaps from his bed and attacks his wife, viciously biting her face. Meanwhile, over at the power plant, a worker is ambushed by two zombies, who force her against an electrified fence and devour her. As blood spills onto the circuits, a short circuit sparks, igniting the creatures. The malfunctioning power system causes flickering lights across town. Back at Kyle's house, three officers search the blood-stained rooms and discover another body. It's Kyle himself, now reanimated as a flesh-hungry zombie. He lunges at the officers, completely unfazed by their weapons. At the radio station, Paul and his assigned soldier overhear distant screams. Looking outside, they witness zombies dragging civilians away. The soldier rushes to help, only to be swarmed and torn apart. Paul barely makes it back inside, barricading the door just in time. Inside the hospital, the backup generators restore power, but the relief is short-lived. The moment the patients warm up, they too turn into zombies. Chaos erupts as they attack the living. Trevor and Nina flee the room, horrified when they witness a zombie crawling along the ceiling before pouncing on a nurse. As more zombies give chase, the couple desperately hurls obstacles in their path before escaping through the back exit, blocking the door with a trash bin. Unfortunately, more zombies are already outside, forcing them to scale a fence to get away. Inside the hospital, the bloodbath continues. With humans vastly outnumbered, Rhodes finds himself trapped in a corridor. As he attempts to escape, zombies overpower him, and he is gruesomely devoured. Sarah, Logan, and Crane manage to reach an empty room, but Logan shoves Crane inside first, causing him to drop the car keys. As Crane scrambles to retrieve them, a zombie lunges at him. Fortunately, Sarah drags him into the room and locks the door just in time. Furious, Crane confronts Logan, who feigns innocence. With no weapons, Sarah suggests making Molotov cocktails to create a distraction and escape in Rhodes' vehicle since her own keys are lost. Meanwhile, Trevor and Nina navigate through a corpse-littered forest, horrified to see some bodies briefly move before collapsing again. They finally reach the devastated downtown area and spot movement inside the radio station. When the main street clears, they sprint toward the entrance, pounding on the door. Their noise attracts a sprinting zombie, but Paul lets them inside just in time. Inside, they find the distressed couple from earlier, who reveal their son has died. The mother starts coughing but insists she's been sick long before the outbreak. Paul also starts coughing, making Nina uneasy. Trevor rushes to the broadcast equipment, sending a warning to avoid the hospital at all costs. The message plays over a car radio, but it goes unheard by Francine, who is now a zombie herself. Elsewhere, Sarah and Crane crawl through the hospital's air vents as zombies claw at the grates, desperate to reach them.